I'm here with Leslie Lautenslager, who worked with General Colin Powell for over 25 years. She has written a book about those years, and it is titled My Time with General Colin Powell, Stories of Kindness, Diplomacy, and Protocol. Welcome, Leslie. Tell me a little something about the book.
Well, it's truly exactly as the subtitle says. It's stories of kindness, diplomacy, and protocol. The world is used to General Powell, the military leader, General Powell as Secretary Powell, the diplomat, or even General Powell as the advocate for youth, young people, and the world is used to him as a notable person that we all should emulate. What the world maybe does not know is that he was also a very funny man. He was an aficionado of cars. He was a song and dance man. He loved comfort food, and he was always eager to share a joy of life. And in his death, I came to believe that I was very selfish if I did not share that wonderful man that I knew beyond the man that the public knew. So, thus, this book.
How did you come up with the title of the book?
Originally, the title was going to be Beside My General, Stories of Kindness, Diplomacy, and Protocol. And that is probably still how I will always think of the book. But I also am realizing that that would be pretty naive to not have his name in the title, given the fact that the more people know of the book, the more likely that my goal will be achieved. And by not having his name in the title probably would limit the visibility of the book.
What motivated you to write the book?
Well, as I touched on a little bit earlier, the motivation came with a feeling of guilt in that I knew and loved this man with whom I'd worked for 25 and a half years, for all the many sides of him that maybe the public was not aware of, and feeling like that wonderful man I could share with a broad audience. But also I had planned for many years to write a book, but it was going to be specifically a protocol-based book based on some writings that I had done over years in the past. General Powell, about 2 years prior to his death, would tease me on several occasions about, Leslie, you ought to write a book. And I would get in my little prim and proper protocol way and say, yes, General, I plan to write a book. It'll be about protocol. And the general would exaggerate a rolling of his eyes and exaggerate a yawn, saying, Leslie, you got to write about me. You want to sell, don't you? So my intent of writing a book on protocol, or compiling some of the protocol writings I had written over years into a book, faded away. And about a year after his death, I realized, no, I really could write a book about him. And it evolved that way.
What part of the book did you have the hardest time writing?
The last chapter, of course, because the last chapter is basically, of course, it's closing the book, it's ending the book, but it is based on his death and planning of his funeral.
What part of the book was the most fun to write?
Some of the funny chapters, and there are some chapters that, in my opinion, will be laugh out loud, stitch in your side, funny. Those chapters were fun to write because as I would remember things like Tom Selleck learning how to do the Heimlich maneuver, or dancing in the aisles at Mamma Mia while General Powell was Secretary of State, his poking fun at me on many occasions as he would try to escape me, or lob softball questions at me that I could then respond with either straight face, or come back with some punchline. And truly, those probably were the most fun to write, and I suspect maybe some of the highlights in the book for readers.
Has writing and publishing a book changed the way you see yourself?
Yes. I I had not viewed myself as an author prior to this book. I actually have found that I don't mind the writing process. Now, part of it, the world has changed because of COVID. So if my job and career has always been on my toes and juggling many things, or putting out the brush fires, or trying to always put events and organizations into some sense of order. Well, COVID, of course, made us all take a step back. And then, of course, my world changed when the general died. But coming into the process of writing is very therapeutic. But I also feel energized as well when I think that maybe I can put words to paper, pen to paper, figuratively, and try to paint a picture. So yes, maybe I have come to find writing is something not to fear.
Is there anything you'd like to add regarding the book or your experience writing the book?
The book, I want to put in the hands of as many people as I can, if for no other reason than to share this man with people who did not know him. He was incredible, a wonderful mentor, a wonderful boss, a dear friend, and if I can share him with many people, I will take that as a mission accomplished.
Well, Leslie, thank you for sharing information about your book. I hope everyone enjoys reading the book as much as I did.
And for those of you who want to know, this is what the cover will look like.
Thank you very much.